Hidden inside the walls of your home, there's this silent network just humming with power. But here's the thing. Sometimes it's not so silent. So today, we're going to do a quick 5-minute audit that could literally save your home and maybe even your life. Think about it. Your house has its own language. Those little clicks, the buzzes, maybe a switch that's a little warm. It's constantly talking. The real question is, are you actually listening? All right, we're kicking this off with the easiest check of all. You don't need any fancy tools, just your own 2 ears. They are without a doubt your first line of defense against some pretty serious hidden dangers. Okay, first up, listen for this sound, a steady buzzing or humming. It might be kind of faint, maybe coming from an outlet or a switch or even your main electrical panel, but trust me, it's a super important warning. So what does that sound mean? Well, that buzz usually points to one of two things. Either a wire has wiggled itself loose, or the circuit is just straining under too much load from all your gadgets and appliances. And this is exactly why it matters. A simple buzz from a loose wire can create what's called an electrical arc, basically a little jump of electricity. And where there's an arc, there is a ton of heat. So the main takeaway here, this is a potential fire hazard. Period. Okay, let's move on to the next sound. And this one is, well, way more alarming. If you hear this, a crackling or popping, you need to act, and you need to act fast. That sound, it means arcing. The best way to picture it is like a tiny, uncontrolled lightning strike happening right inside your walls. Electricity is literally jumping across a gap it should not be crossing, and that creates some serious, intense heat. Let me be crystal clear about this one. This is extremely dangerous. Arcing is one of the biggest causes of electrical fires. If you hear this sound, your investigation is over. It's time to call a pro immediately. All right, so you've used your ears. Now it's time to use your eyes. You'd be surprised how many of the biggest electrical dangers aren't really hidden at all. They're just sitting there, right out in the open. Go take a quick look at your power cords. See the one on the left? That's what you want. The one on the right, though, with any kind of cracking or fraying or especially exposed wires, that is a huge shock and fire hazard. Don't even think about using it. Just replace it. Here's another one we see all the time, and it's so easy to overlook. I mean, sure, outlets are there to be used, but overloading one with a bunch of adapters and power strips, you're basically asking for trouble. It can cause the wires inside your walls to get way too hot, and that can actually melt their protective coating. Now, let's dig into a little history that might be hiding in your walls. If your home was built before the 1950s, you might just have this stuff, knob and tube wiring. The key thing to know here is that it has no ground wire. And that's the wire that protects you and all your electronics from electrical surges. It's a critical safety feature in every single modern system. And what if your home was built or remodeled somewhere between 1965 and 1973? Well, you might have this. Aluminum wiring. The big issue with aluminum is that it expands and contracts a lot more than copper does, and over time, that can cause connections to get loose. And this number right here shows you why that is so critical. A major study found that homes with this kind of wiring are 55 times more likely to have connections that reach fire hazard conditions. 55 times! I mean, just let that sink in for a second. That's a huge number. All right, we've listened and we've looked. For our last check, we're going to use our sense of touch. But listen, please, you've got to do this carefully and safely. So as you walk through your home, just lightly and carefully place the back of your hand on the face plates of your outlets and light switches. Do any of them feel warm or even hot? If the answer is yes, that warmth is a giant red flag. See, heat means resistance, and resistance in your electrical system is a sign of a really serious problem, probably an unsafe wiring condition that you can't even see. So if you find a warm outlet or switch, here's exactly what you do right away. Step 1, unplug every single thing from it. Step 2, don't use that switch again. And step 3, call a licensed electrician. No waiting around. Okay, so you've done the audit. You've listened, looked, and felt for trouble. But what's next? The most important safety tool you have is knowing when to stop and call in a professional. It's also really important to understand who's responsible for what. In general, the utility company owns the wires coming from the pole and the meter itself. But that big pipe attached to your house and literally everything inside, yeah, that's on you. So let's just recap everything real quick. It's definitely time to call a professional electrician if you found any of these things during your audit. Buzzing or crackling sounds, any damaged or old-looking wiring, warm outlets, or even if your circuit breakers just keep tripping over and over again. And here's the golden rule. If you're ever in doubt, just make the call. And this quote right here really drives the whole point home. This is not a weekend DIY project. Electricians go through thousands of hours of training for a very good reason. Working on electrical systems is just plain dangerous, and it should absolutely be left to the pros. Okay, so we've covered the what, the why, and the when. You now have the tools for a super quick 5-minute safety check. So the only question left is, what is your home telling you?